Okay. Welcome everybody to our Tuesday morning distance Reiki share, or if you're watching later on YouTube, thank you for joining us watching later. So I wanted to, we have a few new faces here. And so I wanted to go ahead and explain the format, but I thought I might as well include this on the recording, just so those of you that may be interested in joining know the format that a lot of times we explain before we're on the recording. So we have these free distance Reiki shares, as many of you know, every Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. You do have to be signed up to receive the Zoom link. That is for security reasons, so that we don't get Zoom bombers and things like that. We don't like to put out the link publicly. But one thing to know about these is that they are very casual. So we always give it a few minutes until we start. We let everybody kind of come in and get settled in. You are welcome to come anytime that you can, and anytime that you can't, that's absolutely okay too. And you can come in late, and you can come in early or leave early. So just so you know, we understand that we all have different situations. Some people join us from work. You can keep your video off, your mute on, and just come in and listen and be a part of the energy and the circle and the community here. So just so you know, we do like to keep this casual because Reiki is a stress reduction technique, and we try to keep it as stress-free as possible. We do always post these later on YouTube. They are posted on Thursday mornings as well as on our podcast channel. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of the places that you might listen to podcasts. Then when we are in the distance Reiki share, I know if you are listening later, you receive these in 2 different recordings. We always do a talk about a different topic and how we incorporate Reiki into our daily lives, how we incorporate Reiki into our spiritual practices, our practical things. As many of you know, we've been doing decision making for the last month. Then before that, listening. Like, there's all of these different ways that we explore Reiki in these. So we do a talk on that. And then we do a Reiki guided journey, an invocation, or meditation, depending on how it comes out that day. Sometimes we flip those around. So sometimes we do the invocation meditation first, and then we go into the talk on the topic that we're talking about that day. Then after that, a lot of people like to sign off at that point, especially those that might be at work or in a situation where they can't continue. But we do go into breakout rooms after that where we give and receive Reiki with each other. So that, again, is very casual. Some people do just keep their video off. We usually get anywhere from 15 to 25 minutes to do that in a group of like 3 to 4 people, where we can give and receive Reiki with each other. Then after we do the breakout rooms, at the end, we come back and we do great group Reiki together. So we have people that might ask for support in our chat. Sometimes people email us and ask for support. Other times you can just intend people into the circle anonymously. So let's say it's not somebody that you feel comfortable putting in the chat, or maybe they wouldn't be comfortable being added into the chat. I know I've had those situations where I will just say, okay, I'm asking Reiki and intending that somebody's name who needs extra support is being sent Reiki in this group Reiki session, so that there's usually around 40 to 50 people all sending Reiki at the same time to different people, also to world events. We spend time sending to world events. We spend time sending Reiki to the peace grids. And that's usually anywhere from it's usually around 5 to 10 minutes at the end. And then we finish up usually around 11. So just so everybody knows the format and that you can join casually, you can join easily. We have a very international group. And so welcome to everybody here today. And then, of course, everybody that is listening later. All right. Oh, one other thing. Sorry. And then I'll stop talking. Colleen has classes coming up. So Danny's shaking her head like, thank you. We have human Reiki 1 and 2 coming up this month. We have Reiki Master, the 21st through the 23rd, and Reiki 1 and 2, the 24th through the 25th. This is August. And those actually this month start at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Normally we start them at 9, but they're a little bit earlier because of the summer. If you're in different time zones, that might be a little easier for you. So it's at 8 a.m. Pacific this month. And we did that with this animal Reiki class last time. And I'll tell you, like during the summer, it's really nice to kind of get out a little earlier. And then it was also easier for a few people, like, across the pond, a few people on the East Coast to go to bed early, things like that. So it was really nice. And then we also will be at the Sedona Reiki retreat. So whether you're here live or whether you're listening later, if you're going to be in Sedona, come up and say hi to us for sure. We love that Reiki retreat. Okay, go ahead, Colleen. Sorry.
It's all right. Great. Thank you. And Japan. We also, William and I are teaching in Japan in November and in between. All kinds of good things. Yep. Anyway. So again, as Robin explained, what we try to do is cover a topic for a month. That way we can do a little bit each week, including always having some type of either invocation that we do with Reiki or a journey, and always that it involves both healing and empowerment for you. And it can be around any topic that you need, that the work comes through, as Reiki will always go to you your way. But also we will be focusing it on, like, what do you need to let go of? Today we're talking about, or this month we're talking about, spiritual guidance. And, so the journeys or the meditations or invocations will involve what do you need to let go of to any kind of healing that blocks you or layers in your way of being able to access your own, in this case, spiritual guidance, and how Reiki actually works to do both the healing, but it's also going to empower your innate ability and bring in the qualities, wake up the qualities, and Reiki entrains you to a higher level of consciousness around whatever it is that you are focusing your attention on, or whatever it is that you need. So this month we've been talking about listening, and all of this goes together. So listening, decision making, and now spiritual guidance. So how do you hear your particular spiritual guidance? In the healing realm of it, what I notice as a Reiki practitioner and teacher is that spiritual guidance has been underdeveloped in many of us. Sometimes it's even suppressed or disallowed or disempowered in a person's life. Or sometimes we reach a point in our life where we wake up to it and go, oh, wait, spiritual guidance would be helpful. And so there's a healing aspect to that. But most of all, what there is the empowerment that wakes it up, and an understanding of how you personally access your style of spiritual guidance. Because what that means for each of us is unique. Everyone in here has your own unique way that you receive spiritual guidance. And that is one of the biggest differences that we are seeing at this time in human history, this change of the age. Because for a long time, and certainly the generation I was born into and before me, our spiritual guidance was directed typically by something like religion, or maybe science, or some other form of outside authority that would have an intermediary that told you what you believe and what you need to know, and here are the rules. As we have begun to shift in to me, the age of humanity where we are going into this time of inner authority differently than the outside authority. We are now moving into the time of how do you find what spiritual guidance is for you? And so that's why I say it goes back to the listening. So the listening and learning how to hear you is something that Reiki energy specifically helps you with. It specifically takes you inwardly so you can access your own inner truth. And how that plays out, we always talk about how Reiki works in your daily life. So what makes that useful to hear you in your daily decision making? And then where is all your sources of guidance coming from? So the first thought is what is spiritual? Like, what does spiritual mean to you? Because spiritual to me has a vast definition. People can access what I think of as their spiritual self through every belief system. It's a matter of how do you get to that inner self that you feel connected to you, connected to the world around you, being able to have access to your higher consciousness, access to consciousness outside of you. Sometimes that spiritual guidance is going to come from the outside source. That's one method of accessing it. But going to what is spiritual and what does that mean to you? So I've always used the example of my brother-in-law who accesses his spiritual nature, although he might not use that word for it, through riding his bike long distances, climbing very tall mountains. Right now he's riding his bike, and this man is now 65, and he's riding his bike from Canada to Mexico, and took a detour and went to Minnesota and went back and got back on the trail. But my point with that is when I talk to him, and I've done mountain climbing with him, that's where that connection is inside of him. Equally as I view it from, well, I don't know if I'm really as traditional in how I view my spirituality. I'm probably a little non-traditional. But anyway, people connect to their spirituality through nature. How often have you or someone else said, boy, I really connect in when I'm in nature. That's my church, is going out to nature. Other people have that same connection in the rhythm of a city, like and getting that connection in the city and the rhythm of a city. And we do connect through religion. So this is not to say that religion doesn't have value in spiritual connection. And also then we have practices like Reiki that give us a connection to hear what is your own unique connection to your personal spirituality. And what does it mean to you? And then the next piece is, how do you access it? What are the sources of it? So the sources of it, to me, can come from, again, a multitude of sources. So for me, for instance, I truly do. We just did a podcast, Karen Hefner and I, and talked about connecting with guidance from rocks. I mean, and I know that is definitely maybe non-traditional spiritual guidance. But you can receive spiritual guidance from God. You can receive spiritual guidance. I had one, oh, that's right. I was like, I love how this works. I had one the other day. This is the second time I have had a really powerful moment with a bumper sticker. And that was the source of the spiritual guidance. So the very first time was years ago, and I was driving from Portland, Oregon to Seattle on I-5, and it's really beautiful. But I had terrible mind chatter, and I was in this really negative, argumentative mind loop in my head. And it's such a beautiful drive. I was like, so like, just stop, make my mind stop on this story that I'm looping around. And so I invited Reiki, and I did the mental emotional symbol. And I was like, okay, help me change my mind. And this car pulls up in front of me and had a bumper sticker right in front that said, "Don't believe everything you think." And so I was like, okay. And I mean, it just broke it instantly. And I thought, how did that get orchestrated? Like, how did that car pull in front of me in that moment? So I had one the other day. It was our 49th wedding anniversary, my husband and we were out for our wedding. And I actually didn't feel very good because I have an abscessed tooth. And so I was a little irritable and not wanting to be, because I was enjoying our day. And he took me to a baseball game, and that was actually really fun. And we went to a great restaurant. And so anyway, we were driving, and whatever it was he was doing was like one of those little irritations. And I was like, okay, stop. Okay, no, seriously, stop. We pull up behind another car, and there's this little tiny sticker, and it's so small, and it was a sloth, and it said, "Let go of that shit." And I was like, oh, perfect message. And it was so cute. I actually took a picture of it because it was so like, oh, thank you. And it just shifted everything for me. So that's what I mean, though. That is a form of spiritual guidance for me. Observing the world around me, messages that come in that I have an ability to be listening for or noticing. And that's the other piece, is Reiki helps you notice it, because that's a big piece. Robin, you talk about that all the time with the validation that can come when Reiki helps you notice when you have actually listened, heard, and been able to utilize that spiritual guidance or information that you receive. So that's the next piece of it. And then how we actually use the Reiki symbols to help us get there. So many methods of getting there, you guys. You can get your spiritual guidance on a walk. You can be in a meditation. You can be washing the dishes and have insight. We talk about that all the time, is receiving things through insight, just that flash of a moment of like, those aha moments. So Reiki energy actually helps you get there. The power symbol, waking up that power of love within you, it's going to orient you towards that kind of a viewpoint. It's going to shift your viewpoint into a higher form of consciousness, because it's now operating from that perception with the energy of love. Doesn't always mean being loving, but it can shift you into that perception and that higher frequency. The other thing that the power symbol is really good for is releasing the things that are in the way of you being able to access your spiritual guidance. Perhaps from this lifetime that you've come in with, other lifetimes that have come forward, other ancestral histories, your family of origin, the religion you were raised in, even just your own belief system. My belief system has certainly changed where I've specifically studied spiritual guidance. I like the topic. So the power symbol can help release any injuries that you have sustained in your life that has caused you to have limited access or resistance to your own spiritual guidance. Sometimes when you talk about your spiritual guidance to others from the perspective of, say, something like Reiki, you can have to worry about their response to you, talking about it from that viewpoint. Sometimes we can have skepticism and misunderstanding with our own spiritual guidance. And sometimes we can even have it be like, oops, I missed on that one. Or a lot of times we have the, oh, if only I'd listened to that, if only I had paid attention to that guidance, or I knew that was what it was. And then hopefully it's like, oh yeah, there it is. I'm going to follow this path. The mental emotional symbol can help you with clarity of mind, also translation. So you may be, thinking about something, it comes in as it's perhaps spiritual guidance. You know it is, but you're not quite sure what it's trying to tell you. Like, what does that mean? The mental emotional symbol can help you with the patience that it sometimes takes to receive the spiritual guidance that you know is accurate. The mental emotional symbol can also help you with understanding your accuracy, to understanding with some clarity of mind that then also helps you apply the spiritual guidance, which is where this ultimately goes to, is how does it apply in your daily life? Then we have the distance symbol, and the distance symbol really activates your cellular memory, your gut brain, heart brain, head brain, aligning all together and with connection to your wisdom. Because a lot of times we think of spiritual guidance as only coming from outside sources. Like you might think of, for me, I work with spirit guides. So I do definitely gain spiritual guidance from guides. I work with, different ones from different traditions that I've known all my life. And I also receive spiritual guidance from nature. And then how do I translate that all into my daily life and my personal heart wisdom that is connected with my head brain, my heart brain, my gut brain? So not only does the spiritual guidance come from external sources, but it comes from my own internal spiritual guidance. So what does my logic say? That's a form of spiritual guidance. What does your life experience say? That's another form of spiritual guidance. Now listening into your higher self. So when we think of, spiritual guidance, or we think of your divine spirit, for instance, that actually is a part of you right now. So connecting in with that divine spirit through your logic, also through your heart, also through your gut. So what is your personal spiritual guidance, and how do you access it? And then how does that align with the sources from other resources of spiritual guidance, the random bumper sticker that comes by. And how does all of that integrate using Reiki symbols, Reiki energy, other ways that any of you use? It's not only accessible through Reiki, of course, but that's what we're talking about here in the Reiki share. So that distance symbol can really take you into your personal wisdom. And it is the symbol that I use personally to go within and hear myself. So the others also bring clarity, but that distance symbol, I think of it as a bridge of light from my personality, my external circumstances, going inward, and I visualize it, or intend it, I guess would be more accurate, that I'm actually traveling through the layers of me to get into the depth of me and be able to hear me. And then I take the time to train myself to do that on the fly. Doesn't have to be hours long. I love the hours long, so I do that too. I love that ability when I'm on a walk. I love that ability in the shower is a big place that a lot of us receive a lot of our inner guidance. So the distance symbol can take you into the depths of your inner knowing, that gut level, that heart level, going all the way into your innate wisdom, also your innate skill set, what you brought with you into this lifetime, connecting you into that deep sense of meaning within you. And then the master symbols all have their ability to take you and expand into even deeper levels. I use the Usui master symbol. To me, is that it works really well with the tree of life, the animal Reiki symbol, where it's really working with that earth knowledge. You're a human being. What does your human knowingness know in your spiritual guidance? What do your instincts say? What does your intuition say? What does your imagination say? How does all of that work together for inner awareness in how you receive your spiritual guidance? And then also taking it into now, how does it apply in your daily life? How do you actually use it? So those are the other things that I feel that Reiki does really well, is it helps you move it into a daily application. So, of course, we know we use Reiki as practitioners to work on other people, to do self-Reiki for ourselves, which I do a lot of. And I do a lot of that on the fly, like even here, I do self-Reiki as I'm talking. That way Reiki is flowing through me as I'm talking, which sometimes why I'm talking in a circular way, because it's Reiki coming through. And it sometimes does it that way. But anyway, Reiki also helps you apply it. So to wrap this all up, because I do want to do Robin's going to do the journey around this and do the healing work on letting go of whatever is blocking your access and understanding of your personal spiritual guidance, and then bringing in the empowerment for your spiritual guidance. So she's going to do that. So I'm going to wrap this up and give her time for it because it's a little bit lengthy, which there will be an automatic writing opportunity if you want to too. But anyway, we're going to cover this topic all month. And so through the month of August, we'll be talking about it. And so, you can, if you're not able to attend live here, then also remember we do post all of this information on our YouTube channel and our podcast channel. So you can always go back to it. And we do the talk separately from the meditation. So you can do both or either or.